Hello, this is Super Angelo, and we are here just because in about 17 hours, if you're watching live, much less if you're watching the replay, the Thrive in 2025 special MBS offer is being taken down, and all bonuses, including my coaching bonuses, are going away. So, that said, I want your full attention and your participation for the next 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how this goes. As you see already, I have done something different to draw your attention. And why am I doing this? Because you have to pay attention to begin your transformation. And it is very, very important for you to act as if, as I've said in the past few webinars, act as if we are on a first date. So make sure that you're fully participating, not because of what I'm saying, but because of where you want to go and who you want to become in the process so that you can land happily and safely, as I like to say, at your desired destination. So I was thinking about how am I going to communicate what I want to tell you today, and maybe, find a captivating story to start with and so on. And my brainstorming didn't work out well. But last night, Greek time, I had the perfect example for what I want to talk to you about today. And that has to do with the fact that the team that I support, Manchester United, lost in the UEFA Cup final. So after the game, when the ref whistled the end of the game, my consciousness, let's say, was filled with emotions like sadness, maybe a bit of anger. I was trying to think, what the manager or the players did wrong and what they could have done differently and so on. And of course, I wanted to relieve that pain as soon as possible. And I did my 5 to Thrive exercises, the ones of perspective, forgiveness, love, gratitude, and happy landing, to take myself back to a much higher state so that I can be productive. And of course, I can enjoy my day and be of value to you today as well. This is how important it is to elevate your emotional state. So I called yesterday's event the painful whistle. And what do I mean by that? It is, as I was doing my exercises, when I reached gratitude, I said, whoa, what can I feel grateful for? So what I thought of was, there are millions of Tottenham fans and players and, everyone that supports the other team that are celebrating right now. So maybe I can, draw a bit of their happiness to feel better because my team lost, right? So that worked. And then I said, you know what, Angelo, you have to feel that pain. And I said, wow, I should be grateful for that pain. And why is that? I should be grateful for the pain because the game has ended, my team has lost, and it is gone. And why is that important for me and for you right now? Because in our lives, we think that there is like a continuity, and we say many times that life is a marathon. But what is actually going on is life is a sum total of many sprints with a beginning and an end. And you know what? Sometimes we have to act and we have to be truly accountable to each and every segment, to each and every sprint. So, for example, if I watched the game last night on TV, right? So if I wanted to be there, I had to take some actions beforehand that I didn't. Of course, we have this important launch and I wouldn't choose so anyway. But what matters, as Jim Rohn used to say, and I remember his voice, his piercing voice in my consciousness, don't miss the play, don't miss the symphony, don't miss the event. And why is that important? Because as I said before, in about 17 hours, this offer is gone. And it's not about the offer, it's about you. So if it truly matters to you to take yourself to the next level, you want, as I said before, to pay attention so that you can begin your transformation and make sure that you're making the right decision tonight. Because at midnight Pacific, and this offer is gone, and your opportunity to be supported by me in this process of starting, launching, and growing your online course will be gone. So that said, I will not, in this specific review, I will not show you how to create better email titles using Gigi, the AI assistant that is within the MBS. I will not give you a walkthrough of the MBS, the platform or the training and everything else, all the amazing bonuses, everything else that you can tap into just a few clicks away from here. You know why? Because all these things are completely irrelevant if we don't discuss about the most important thing of all. And I know you know who that is and what that is. And that is you, my friend. This is what we will be talking about today. And I will give you, like some processes so that you can truly be able to realize to the core of your being that it is you, that you are your game changer. So, as promised, I will give you the review of that one thing, and you are that one thing. And I want to begin with a story now from Think and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill wrote, he had, like the whole manuscript ready, and he couldn't find a winning title. And he was saying into one of his seminars that I was discussing a lot with my publisher. We really need $1 million title. We want this book to take off, not be just, like another personal development book. I know that what I have written is something, important, valuable, and I want to make sure that the title is successful enough and captivating enough to make this book a great success. So as Napoleon Hill said, I was going through pages and pages of ideas, but no title, like no winning title was there. So at some point, one day, his publisher calls Napoleon Hill and tells him, if you don't find a title by tomorrow morning, I am taking charge of this and I'm going to name this book, Use Your Noodle and Get the Poodle. And Napoleon Hill was, like, you're going to ruin me. Don't do this to me. I mean, this is a dignified book. How on earth are we going to name this? Use Your Noodle and Get the Poodle. And the publisher said, that's my decision. Do your best. So Napoleon Hill then said, you know what? I have to find a title. And he started talking to his subconscious mind. And he said, you know what? I need a title and I need to have that title now. And he was very emphatic about it. In fact, he was saying that at some point, the neighbors, were, like thumping the floor that you're making noise and so on. And what happened? Napoleon Hill, at some point, he felt, like a sudden relief, a reassurance. So he went to bed, and at about 2 a.m., he woke up with the title, Think and Grow Rich. And why I told you that story? Because with that story, now you realize that Napoleon Hill, that title, Think and Grow Rich, was always there. It was in the ether. It's just a few common words, right? But that title was already there. But Napoleon Hill had to upgrade, demand more of himself, had to upgrade his expectations and his intention to align himself with that title. And now it's time for me to tell you what are all these attention-grabbing, hopefully, notes. It is part of my identity. And some parts of that identity, I cannot take them with me if I want to achieve something great, right? So first of all, I am very grateful that the Post-it notes stuck. Okay, it would be much harder, for me to make the presentation and have them falling off. So let's just take one of them. like I am stuck right now. I have no idea what to do. I don't know where to begin. I don't know if I should be investing in the Mastermind business system or not. I don't know if I invest, will I make it? There's so many things in my mind. I am stuck. Okay. Can you imagine, like Elon Musk saying, I am stuck, or Tony Robbins? Okay. So we have to do something about that, right? What's next? I am not Tony and Dean. Right. Yes, I am Angelo. So I have to do something about that too. What's that? I am not enough. Whoa. There is a reason why I begin I end each and every daily shot of inspiration from January 1st, 2015 up until now, 10 years, almost 10 years, 10 and a half years of daily shots of inspiration. I end with the same message. You deserve everything you want, and we all deserve your best self, so that it can finally stick to our consciousness that we deserve each and every desire. In fact, a desire is a fact, is a part of our future that has been granted to us, and we say no to it. And this is why you kept hearing me in the last couple of weeks repeating, never ever again. Allow your mind to say no to your heart. What else is there? So I love helping others. Okay, so there's a positive message. So I had some negative messages in my identity, some negative, let's say, non-serving parts in my consciousness, but also there are some serving parts, like I love helping others. So how can I take advantage of that? Where can I be more useful to society at large? And how can I magnify my value with an online course, with a digital product? This is what it's all about, by the way. If you are a coach right now and you're watching this and you're doing a lot of one-on-one, or maybe like some group coaching, you know that at some point you reach a plateau simply because your time is limited. There's nothing we can do about increasing our 24 hours a day. There is much we can do, though, to leverage technology so that we can multiply our impact. So right now, as you're watching this, somebody else is watching Thrive in 25 day one review that I have created. And somebody else is watching the review of day 3. And somebody else is watching a masterclass that I did on belief boosting back in last autumn of 2024, and so on. And somebody even is watching right now my very first online course that I have created back in 2016, 9 years ago. So, isn't it better for you to accept and embrace that leverage and make sure that you're creating the best possible value? But in order to do that, something else has to change first. So let's do an exercise right now. I want you to take your hands and have them, like this. And I want you right now to push your left hand with your right hand. Okay. Is this all you've got? Can you push a bit more? Okay. Okay, relax now. What did I tell you to do? I asked you to push your left hand with your right hand. I never said resist with your left hand. And that is an indication, my friend, that you have resistance within to achieving anything. Anything more than what you have right now. So what is this one thing that is blocking you? That one thing is simply the current version of yourself. And you want to be grateful for yourself because it got you here. And there's nothing wrong with being completely grateful and loving ourselves, and at the same time be eager for more. but we don't ask for more things, more success, more happiness, like more sales with our digital product. We ask simply a better, stronger, wiser version of ourselves. So as I like to say, start with who. Tony Robbins is saying something that is quite similar, and he says, avoid the tyranny of the how. So every time we begin our transformation, we're looking for the how. How can I do this? And how can I create an online course? And how can I create my own website? And how can I create a lead magnet to have emails, to collect emails and new potential clients? And how can I start doing Facebook ads to increase my exposure? All these things. Avoid the tyranny of the how. And let me add, what I believe is an empowering statement, like a second part to this punchline. Avoid the tyranny of the how, and at the same time, embrace the freedom of the who. The who, the version of you that gets the job done. So many times we say, if I have this, so if I have more money, I will be able to go on vacation and then I will be happier. But if you start the other way around, you will see that it makes much more sense. If I take care of my state, as Tony Robbins says, and feel happier right now, more empowered right now, I will be able to do more, become more effective, more efficient, and then I will have more. And now everything in your life starts to make sense. And you know why? Simply because you're playing, it is truly as if you're going downstream now, no resistance there. Push your left hand with your right hand. Okay, done. There it is. No resistance there. That's it. That's all about. So, what needs to happen basically is to elevate your consciousness to what I call your super self. And by definition, your super self is the version of you that has already achieved everything that you want. This is your super self. And as you might have guessed, your super self has a higher belief system. And there are two ways to upgrade your beliefs. Two ways. Number one, to upgrade your skill set and your tool set, right? So, for example, right now, I am in Athens, Greece. What are the chances for me walking and swimming to be in New York in like 15 hours from now? What are my chances? Like next to zero, right? And my self-confidence into making this happen is very small. At the same time, though, if I have the right skill set and tool set, if I know how to book a ticket, and if I know how to get to the airport, and if I use the right tool set to get to the airplane, right, and go to New York, then I'm done. I can do this in 15 hours. It makes sense now. I can believe I can do it. What is the second case? The second case is to be completely oblivious of all that I have just said. To consider that you don't know that there is an airplane. You don't know that there is a site, a website with which you can book a ticket in a matter of minutes. You think that you have to have, like a travel agent that is open right now, even though it's like late in the evening. So you can not do this. So imagine that someone opens your consciousness to what is available. And you say, wow, I had no idea I can do this. So the second way to believe more in yourself is to believe that there is a solution out there that you don't know yet. You see, you don't have to know now. Actually, we've been training ourselves a lot in the past few weeks, intensely, I might add, right? But always remember that the only knowledge that you need in order to achieve anything, even to go to Mars, like what Elon Musk is trying to do, in order to achieve anything, the only knowledge that you need is that you will find what you need in the process. You don't need to know everything right now. You don't need to know everything right now. So, that said, it is completely different to sit, like where you are and say, I am stuck. And it is completely different to tell yourself, you know what? I love helping others. It's time to turn this concept, this image in my mind into a reality, so that I can truly have the impact, the income, and the freedom that I deserve and desire. So I will take the first step and see how it goes. So I have a great idea right now, and I want to share it with you. And I said, you know what? I don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? I mean, this is like a very powerful personal development suggestion. Don't reinvent the wheel, learn from others. So I had this great idea last night. I will go to UPW with my camera and everything and my notebook and take notes of everything. And then I will take, like a few weeks or months to learn by heart, verbatim, what Tony Robbins is saying. And then I will create an offer that is like, come to my UPW with 90% off. So everybody, instead of going to Tony Robbins, they will come to Angelo, right? No. Why? Because I promise to you that I will tell you Tony Robbins' and Dean Graciosa's greatest secret, and it is one that I personally, maybe they have shared it online or in a seminar or whatever, I haven't heard it, and I believe not for Tony and Dean only, but for everyone that you consider extremely successful, this is their super secret. Are you ready for it? I promised I will give you that secret. In fact, it is a secret that myself, I made this realization just a few days ago. I thought of it many months back as I was preparing for this event. But to the core of my being, I mean, to realize how much different everything becomes, I realized it a few days ago. And that is secret, my friend, is simply they are operating in a completely different vibrational frequency of belief in themselves and what they are broadcasting. And in fact, when I realized this, I realized I have proof. So I was listening to a podcast, and the guest was DC Cordova. You may have heard her. She is, like one of the veterans of personal development. She has an amazing program called Money and You, if you want to look her up. So what she said, and by the way, she has trained Tony Robbins in his very first steps as well. So she also trained Robert Kiyosaki, T. Harv Eker. She's an amazing person, she's done a lot for this community for sure. So what she said was you could feel that Tony Robbins was different from the very beginning. I mean, he would walk into the room and everybody would turn to look towards Tony Robbins. So this magnetic personality, I believe, requires two things. Number one, you cannot do this if you feel that you want to be, 5% Tony Robbins and 3% Dean Graciosi and, maybe 1% Angelo if you aspire, what I'm doing and how am I doing it and so on. The thing is that first of all, you need to be 100% you. And you need to be authentic with your values, and you need to be authentic with what you believe in, and you need to be authentic with what you're proposing as a solution to your audience, right? And number two, you need to make sure that nobody, can affect that frequency. So when you're broadcasting your value, you're making sure you're protecting that frequency. So imagine me right now being, broadcasting my message and telling you, this is what I believe, and this is what you should be doing, and so on. And at the same time, listening to a voice in my mind, like, you don't deserve this, you're not enough, you cannot do this, right? There's no way. There's no way. There are so many things going on. It is as if you're listening, like, to many radio stations at the same time and wondering, why am I not enjoying, like, really good music? Because there is noise. So you need that authenticity, and you need to protect that authenticity. Because there will be, there will be naysayers. Oh, your post is not good enough. Your webinar sucks. I have heard, like many times, but I don't care. What am I doing? What I am doing all the time is protecting what I believe can be of value to you, and not caring about anyone else. Because I know that if you're not interested in what I'm saying, if you're not captivated by what I'm saying, you will leave anyway. And if you decide to leave, even leaving, like a bitter comment, so be it. But I cannot allow myself to lower my state and not be of value to someone who does care about what I'm saying. Right? Great. Now, the real obstacle to your success then is who? That who? The current level of yourself. And the only way to go about it is to embrace your super self. And you've heard me say a couple of months ago that the way to go about it is with one frequency. Because when you stick to that one frequency, at some point you achieve resonance. And then this is how you become, like your version of Tony Robbins or Dean Graziosi or someone else who you truly believe is great. This is all it takes. And this is why many times you see people, like taking off overnight. Why? Because of their authenticity. Even unconsciously, they were authentic. And you know what? This is all that we need to do to protect that authenticity. Now, as I told you in the last webinar, I believe that it is time for you truly to think, like, this is it. There is a painful whistle, not about the fact that the cart is closing tomorrow with this set of bonuses, but because of the fact that your life and everybody else's life is not waiting for anyone. And the challenge for us always is to embrace the fact that yesterday will not come again. And we need to do something about today so that our tomorrow is much, much closer to what we perceive as our super life. And we need to make these changes now, because now is all we've got. And you may have heard me say this before. I said, I love flying, and in the center of each and every cockpit, this stands for every aircraft, each and every aircraft, there is what you call the attitude indicator. So there is like a cross where you see basically what is your attitude. And John Maxwell says beautifully that it is not your aptitude, what you know right now, but your attitude that will determine your altitude. So I said, I need to find, like the right attitude so that I can have the best possible outcome. How can I change, or better, upgrade? How can I upgrade Angelo so that I can truly be, first of all, of value to me, and then of value to you? So what I have decided is, first of all, you see like 4 quadrants here. So first of all, I need to have H, which stands for health and happiness. I need to be, have really good physical, emotional, and mental health. I need to protect that. And if this is okay, then I want to make sure F is okay. And that is family and friends. And I've told you before many times, I might lose, like a big deal sometimes. I might, be late with a client if there is, like a big reason to be of value to my family or friends. I've done this before. So this is a decision of mine. Maybe your, priorities differ, but you need to know, right? And then I have the number 1, which stands for what? Can you guess? It is one priority. I cannot have like 100 priorities. As Richard Branson beautifully says, I might have 300 to 400 companies, but I always have one baby. I am making sure that I always have one thing that I put all my mighty forces so that I can make it work. And then in the last quadrant, I have a big X that stands for, forget, ignore, take your attention off of everything else, if possible. And I know that social media is not helping at all. And I know that sometimes, we are all becoming, like victims of this, like browsing and all this, like multiple messages. And even if we're having, like temporarily fun, we might, delaying or even canceling this one priority. So I cannot imagine, Tony Robbins, like truly creating a powerful presentation, like to 50,000 people if he was, like all over the place the day before and he was browsing, doing whatever. And even if he was permitting himself to be, like impacted emotionally by what he was, like reading in the news and so on. Because the news themselves do not do any harm to you. If you take the hook, and if you feel bad about what you're watching or reading, then you have a problem. And this is why it is important, and this is, you've heard me say this many times before, and that I'm doing a lot of work to help us all protect what I call our emotional fortress, to fortify our emotions and make sure that we can be kind of immune. There's always going to be some kind of impact, but kind of immune to the outer world and everything that is not serving our purpose. Now, what you see here is the 5x5 to Thrive formula that I have presented in a previous masterclass. And I want to remind you that it is always your decision to upgrade your emotions and to upgrade your beliefs. And the 3 things that you need to get anywhere you want in life, even with your online digital product launch, is number 1, to have a clear and compelling vision, to know where you're going, to point in the right direction. Number 2, what you need is a happy and unstoppable state. And number 3, you need to have solid super beliefs. The beliefs of your super self, the belief, the absolute conviction, basically, that you deserve, you can, and you will turn your vision into a reality. In fact, it is already done. This is the game-changing attitude. So, how do you do this? Number 1, what are the 5 emotional exercises? It is number 1, perspective. You shift your perspective and you make sure that you have a serving perspective. So if you believe you are failing right now, you tell yourself, you know what? There are other people in much worse situations. And now look where they are. In fact, I can do this too. Number 2, forgiveness. You want to forgive sincerely, completely, and irrevocably everything that is still weighing you down so that you can move on to number 3, which is love. And start with self-love. Express sincere self-love and tell yourself, you know what? Look yourself in the mirror and say, with this new online course, if I make, like 0 sales or 1,000 sales, I will love myself equally. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you unconditionally. I mean it. So now you're ready for gratitude and you can feel, like there are so many things to be grateful for, and you always start from the basics and what you might consider, like trivial and taking for granted, like the oxygen that you breathe, and then move on. And as you reach number 20, you are ready for 21, which is your happy landing. Number 5, which is your happy landing exercise, where you close your eyes, relax yourself, and see and feel yourself at your destination. You don't think of your destination. You don't think of the $1 million. You think from your destination. You think yourself with the $1 million, like celebrating your big success. This is the difference. And you milk that feeling. You embrace that feeling. You truly resonate with that feeling and you make it like truly known. This is where most people struggle. We are so, encased in a jar of stress and, maybe sadness and maybe sorrow for what happened in the past and so on. And there is, there are other frequencies like unstoppable, happy, grateful, and even proud of yourself that maybe you're not yet, tapping into as much as possible. And then we have the 5 waves. I call them the 5 waves that you have to cross. And it is truly, I visualize this because what I've realized is that each of the 5 core beliefs that you need to upgrade, in fact, each of them is harder than the previous one. So the waves actually get bigger and bigger. So the first wave is to believe that you truly want it. And one might say, Angelo, this is my desire. Of course, I want it. So my question to you is, do you want a 6-pack or a 6-pack? So you might realize that you have conflicting desires. You might realize that while you say you want what you want, you might want something that is countering your first desire, or what you're saying is, this is nice to have, but I wouldn't, bother upgrading my beliefs or attending a seminar for it. So number 2, you need to believe you deserve it. Number 3, you need to believe that you can do it. And this is where I said before, if you don't believe in that, maybe you're looking into upgrades in your skill set and your tool set so that you can actually believe you can do it. And number 4 is believe that you will do it. And someone might say, you know what? If I believe I deserve it, and if I believe I can do it, I'm pretty sure that I will do it. And the answer is, of course not. Because everybody believes they deserve, to have a better fit in their body, and everybody believes they can do it. I mean, the how-to is not that hard to find, even if you don't know that you should exercise a bit more and eat a bit less. The information is abundant, but not many people are doing it. So your will is very important, and now you're ready for number 5 to believe that it is done already. And for you to embrace this, you need to realize that at the same time you live in different planes. Your life is a total of different planes. You live at the same time in the physical plane, the emotional plane, and the mental plane. So mentally and emotionally, what you believe, what you want to achieve, it is already done. This is what you want to believe first. Before you make your first move. Otherwise, you will be countering your efforts. If for some reason right now, you believe that it is taking you too long, it is too hard, you find yourself always, on the verge of quitting, most probably you don't believe that you cannot yet see yourself at your destination having already achieved your goal. So basically, you put all this effort and at the same time, your beliefs are keeping you and holding you back. And how are we going to go about it? How are we going to upgrade this transformation and apply this 5x5 to Thrive formula now that we have these challenges? We are going to use 3 magic words. 3 magic words. One has to do with where you are right now, your point A, where you're starting from. One has to do with the process, because just because we decided that we want something and we're going to do it, it does not mean that we have it yet. So we need to persevere in the process, right? And one that has to do with who you truly need to be right now in order to become that person and see it in the mirror. So here goes. The first magic word is enough. Enough with this. Enough with this job that I hate. Enough with this level of remuneration. Enough with this, like payment terms that I'm waiting for my boss to pay me for like 2-3 months. This is very common in Greece. And so many people are not saying that magic word. So they tolerate it. And as Tony Robbins says, you don't get what you want in life, you get what? What you tolerate. Enough. Enough with this. I am done with this. And that immediately puts you in a completely different emotional state. This immediately starts charging your body with energy to move on. And now you're ready for your journey. And during that journey, you will find yourself battling with your old self. And this is where you use the second magic word, which is yet. So you might say, I cannot do this many times during the day. Just say, I cannot do this yet. I don't have the capital. I don't have the capital yet. I don't have the right partners. I don't have the right partners yet. I have no idea what online course to create. I have no idea what online course to create yet. You see how immediately you're relieving yourself emotionally with that magic word? Good. Number 3, super. You know this. If you follow me, you know that it is my favorite word. You know that I have been using it more often. Like there is like a compounding effect in how much I use this word. In fact, I have decided, today was the first one, I have decided that from now on, each and every presentation I make, I will always be using the super with my name always. So I want to make sure that I am Super Angelo as much as possible. In fact, with all my coaching clients, we say, like, hello, Super Angelo, right? So why are we doing this? For 2 reasons. Number 1, we are conditioning ourselves to think and act as our super self. And number 2, if for some reason you're sloppy that day, which is, like the opposite of super, if you're sloppy that day, what you're doing to yourself is saying, oh, why did Angelo call me super? Maybe he sees something different. Maybe I should be upgrading my attitude right now. So immediately when you call, and what I tell myself is that right now I am going to make a super webinar. Is it going to be a super webinar always? No, but the design state is what matters. How you begin is what matters. What are you planning for yourself? What are your intentions? Are you going to make an online course or a super online course? Are you going, when you join MBS and start going through the training, are you going to have, like attention and maybe playing with your mobile phone at the same time? Or are you going to be super attentive and super focused and super ready to take in what Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, and all the other mentors inside the Mastermind Business System will be giving you? When we are going to have our bonus coaching sessions, are you going to be super focused and super ready for an upgrade and super willing to turn your vision into a reality? And who was it? It was Brendan Burchard. So I watched an interview of his with Lewis Howes. It is amazing. You should be looking for it for sure. It is worth your time for sure to listen to it. I don't know if it's on YouTube. I heard it on Spotify. So it is a recent interview. So what Brendan Burchard said is, we have too much half-heartedness and mediocrity in this world. Whatever it is that you're going to do, do it wholeheartedly. And I believe that I am almost done here right now. As we approach this 1 hour mark that I have set for our meeting today, I believe that you are lacking nothing. You have everything right now at your disposal to do whatever it is you want to do in life. Everything. Angelo, you're not entirely right. I want to invest in MBS. I don't have the 997 right now. Okay, then you might have the 380, which is, like the first installment. No, I don't even have that. Then you will realize that the more courageous you are, the more you believe in yourself truly, you will find the money. And the money is not the reason. As I did in my first UPW, where I borrowed the whole thing. In fact, I remember myself eating, my lunch was a muffin and some coffee on the first day. And that muffin and that coffee was from borrowed money, even that. So, I said, you know what? I'm going to borrow that money because I'm going to convert that UPW into something for me. I'm going to convert that, not just the knowledge, but the inspiration and the impact. It's not the knowledge that changes you. I told you before. It is what happens to you within. It is how much you permit yourself to elevate mentally and emotionally. And now you know it is a completely different game. So you're ready. You're ready to take the next step. In fact, you have so much support that you might feel that you can be a bit sloppy and still win. And it is true. But as Brendan Broussard said, whatever it is that you're going to do next, do it wholeheartedly. I love this idea. Put all your mighty forces, make a statement, make an impact. I am sweating right now, and I remember a speaker once, a public speaker, he had an amazing presentation and he was sweating, and he said, you know what? Never trust a speaker who is not sweating. So basically right now, I feel as if I am in a game, and I'm doing my very best not to convince you to do something, but to convince you that you are not just who your current belief system allows you to believe you are, So when I am coaching someone, I am not trying to convince them that sometime in the future they can become their super selves. What I'm doing is reminding them that they already are. It is just a matter of attention. It is just a matter of intention. It is just a matter of practice. You're not yet, but you can see it, you can feel it. This is why we say, oh, today was a good day, yesterday was a bad day. Why is that? We tolerated that. Tony Robbins, maybe some other leaders that, like you find them truly successful, they do not tolerate underperformance from themselves, right? This is all a matter of conditioning yourself to think and act as your super self, and this is what we will be doing. So, that said, I told you, do not avoid the tyranny of the how and embrace what? The freedom of the who, the freedom of your super self. And this is where my bonuses are focused on. So number one, we are going to have an immersive 2 months, 8 weeks. 8 weeks, immersive weeks where you will upgrade your beliefs and you will practice your super self as much as possible. That emotional state. And by now that you will be having access to chat coaching with me. So we will be exchanging messages, and you will be making sure that you stay at that peak state as much as possible. And also, we will have a 60-minute induction from next week. Anytime that you find a free spot in my schedule, we will immediately begin with the induction on how to make the most of MBS. And when you graduate, we are going to have a 2-hour-long session, one-on-one, on how to take what you've learned and turn it into a truly successful launch with your online course. So this year, I'm focusing entirely on your mindset, on your beliefs, and on your emotional state. We are going to focus on the who. And then you will know that you will have the mindset, the skill set, and the tool set in order to become successful. This is all it takes. So that said, once again, I want to remind you that only what you do gets done. Everything else becomes regret. So how would I go about it right now if I were you? Whatever it takes, but whatever it takes, if you're on the fence right now, get off the fence. This is what I propose to you. Get off if this is the fence, you need to be here or here. You don't want to be here anymore. Forget about this. Get off the fence. And why you should get off the fence? Because nothing happens here. If you make a decision, you can move on with your life. Okay, MBS is not for me. If you want to make a decision whether MBS is for you, you get off the fence, you sign up right now, and you can see from within. And then you have 30 days to decide whether MBS, the training, the platform, Gigi, that is the assistant that thinks like Tony and Dean, if it is your cup of tea, if my coaching is your cup of tea, right? If we can, live up to our promises, and if you can live up to your promises and your intentions, and then within 30 days, you can say, okay, I'm not there yet. I'm not committed enough. Because I believe that within, deep inside, you know that it's not about the course. It's not about Angelo's coaching. It is whether am I going to be as committed as I want myself to believe that I am. But this is why I'm telling you, you cannot judge this from where you are. Immerse yourself, make the move, and then you will have much more information to make the right decision. So you will have 30 days. 30 days. So all this, what I'm telling you right now is going to make sense if you have never been to Greece. And I can talk to you about an amazing island, a small island. No, it's not that popular outside of Greece, but it's extremely popular if you're Greek. That island is called Koufonisia. It is highly recommended. One day we're going to have a retreat together there, I'm pretty sure. It's a beautiful island. It's a small island. About 20 years ago, there were very few people there. Now it's packed. It's, like a small Mykonos or Santorini. It's beautiful. So I can talk to you about it. I can give, show you pictures. You can even go, on YouTube and see a couple of videos. But I'm telling you, it is nothing like waking up the next morning at about 6:30 in the morning in your sailboat and jumping into the water. And what I've done once, even brushing your teeth while swimming, like perfect turquoise waters. Sometimes we have to experience something. The concept of it is not enough. So you might want to create an online course. Instead of regretting later, go about it. Give it a few, even give permission. Now that I'm thinking about it, give permission to yourself to lose, let's say, a couple of months and a couple of thousand. I'm not saying throw the money away. I am saying this is going to be an investment anyway. Even with my worst failures, I brought myself to the point that I feel absolute gratitude. Even with my deepest scars. You know why? Because this is where I get the strength and the wisdom. My wins are just for celebration, are just an indication that I have grown. Not much there, actually. And, like it's a spike and then it's gone. The amazing thing that is happening is when you dare without all the information and you find yourself in a completely different situation. So I'm telling you for sure that if you make a couple of clicks right now, and in fact, what I'm going to do is put again the link here to make sure that you have it ready for you. Just, like click the link and not, like go through each and every detail, trying to convince yourself that this is not for you. But see from within that you are for you. Your super self is calling you right now. This is why you're still here, if you're still here. This is why you're still here, because your super self is calling you, and your mind is yet saying no to your heart. That's it. So, that said, it is better to do something now than regret it later. It is much better to see from within, because you know what? You don't lose anything. You will have access for 30 days. You will immerse yourself for 30 days. We will go through, our coaching sessions. You're going to have amazing value and wisdom anyway. And then you're more than welcome to say, no, this is not for me. I thought it was something different. I thought Angelo was even better. Whatever. What matters, though, is that you lived that second. What that second is. You lived the moment of courage, that you didn't have all the information and you took the next step. And if you remember from Thrive in 2025, this is why Amazon has become so successful. Because they were moving much faster than most companies without all the information. They were not waiting for information to make decisions. They were getting information from making decisions. And as Tony Robbins says, your decisions shape your destiny. Let's shape not just any destiny, your super destiny. Your super life, your super business, your super attitude right now, your super happiness, your super gratitude, super reasons to jump off bed tomorrow morning, your ability to create a super online course, your ability to make super presentations, your ability to convert what you have within into super value and super income and super freedom. You see, it's all a matter of what your intention is. And when your intention is that high, immediately you start attracting the mentors, the synchronicities, even the capital, or the partners, or the colleagues, or the employees, or even the customers that you cannot see right now. That said, I want to thank you for your attention and participation. I'm pretty sure you have all you need to make an informed decision. If not, I will be more than happy to answer your questions in the next few hours that this offer is available. Be daring enough to ask me anything. I will do my very best to give your best answer. And I really look forward to working with you once you decide to join MBS right now. So I want to leave you once again by reminding you that you deserve everything you want, and we all deserve your best self. Go about, no matter what your decision is, go about and create your super life and your super business. Ciao, ciao.